it's Reagan, and today I'm here to bring you a book review of First We Were Four by Alexandra Suraway, and this book was sent to me for review by Simon & Schuster, who I'm also working with for this video. Oh my gosh, just right off the bat, I freaking loved this book. This book was like everything I hoped and dreamed it would be, to put it simply. This story follows the creation and the downfall of a secret society. It starts with four best friends create this secret society as a way to kind of hold on to their friendship as they're going into their senior year and kind of battling the anxieties and the worries of being separated once they graduate and go to their separate ways during college. It starts out as a group that's just based on friendship, it's based on fun, it's based on light pranking. Nothing too serious. Or this particular group begins to escalate, more people begin to join, and the pranks become a little more involved, and the group also starts to work to uncover some of their small town's dirty secrets, and inevitably the entire group falls apart and something horrible happens. Now, the something horrible happens is definitely not a spoiler. At the very beginning of this book, the very first chapter, the very first page, you know at the very beginning of this novel that this group has fallen apart and something tragic has happened. You don't know what, you don't know why, you don't know how we got to this point, and that, my friends, is the rest of this book. Alexandra just does such a fantastic job of creating suspense and lengthening that suspense throughout this entire story. Obviously, this is a thriller kind of YA novel centered around a secret society, kind of like a cult sort of situation. With that, we also know that something bad happens. So you carry this anxiety and this stress throughout this entire story because you're waiting and trying to figure out what, who, why. So every interaction, every decision forward, you're questioning to figure out, is this the moment that things turn for the worse? As I mentioned, this is a story that's definitely centered around the universe of four best friends. These people have known each other, grown up with each other, and have been within their own friend universe for as long as they can remember, their entire lives. So like I mentioned, this secret society was kind of created as a way for them to hold on as tight as possible to that friendship. We follow from the perspective of one of those best friends, and you really begin to grow to understand this very intense friendship and these very different personalities and how they work together. It's kind of odd because this is a secret society and cult, something that you wouldn't necessarily want to be involved with, but as the reader you almost feel complacent because you begin to grow with these characters and kind of understand where they're coming from. Like I mentioned, I also like how in this novel this friendship is so old, but regardless of how close you are with someone, generally there are still secrets being hidden. And this is a story that also uncovers how people, even who they're closest with, will still hide things, and when those get uncovered, how do those people then react around them? I personally loved this story a lot, and especially the dealing with this friendship of four, and it's very, very intense, and I really enjoyed all of the characters. Member of this friendship are so incredibly distinct, and their relationship and what they bring to the friendship is also very unique in itself. I felt like I really began to understand and grew to know how and why they became friends, how and why they became who they were, and how and why they began to make this situation and the decisions they began to make while this book began to escalate. On top of this, I really enjoyed the setting of this novel. It is set in a small ocean town, kind of one of those towns that are quaint, something where nothing bad ever happens to it. And obviously when things started happening to it, it's interesting to see the response of this town. An element of this book I didn't mention, but is a huge part of the plot, is the fact that there is an unsolved murder in this town that happened about 6 years prior, also mentioned at the beginning of this novel. And that is definitely a component of the story that is huge and where the plot kind of unwinds and goes, which I think is really, really interesting. This idea of a small town hiding secrets because they want to protect their own before they find justice. And I think it's a really interesting plot idea, and definitely one that propels the story forward in an interesting way. Like I mentioned, this book and Alexandra successfully creates an eerie setting all the way through. Because like I mentioned, you know something bad happens. You don't know how, you don't know why, but you're scared to get there, but you can't wait to find out at the same time. You also really get to explore kind of the psychological aspects of being in a secret society or cult. This idea that good people will do bad things and how things can slowly escalate and then immediately escalate because they already have skin in the game per se. So you're willing to go that extra mile because everyone else is. It really does explore the ideas of groupthink and lack of consequences, and also this idea of power. Power is a huge element thematically in this novel. This idea that teenagers or people in this town who might not necessarily have a voice, either they have to listen to their parents parents, they have to listen to the authorities, and when those people aren't doing what they're supposed to do, they try to seize power for themselves. But when that power becomes intoxicating and it begins to make you do things you wouldn't do in the first place, where is that line and how do you come back from it? This story really explores all of those things in a deeply interesting way. This book just has such an amazing element of like friendship, drama, relationships, a thriller element, an eerie element, just a continuous question of when will they stop? What will they do next? I absolutely loved this book. It kept me on the edge of my seat, and I also felt like Alexander's writing style in this was just superb. She really always had this element of creepiness. They could be at a school dance, but there was still like a weight to everything that was being said and done that just kept you kind of on the edge of your seat. Because of that, I absolutely flew through this book. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I completely enjoyed the heck out of this. I tried to be kind of vague in my explanation of the story because I by no means want to spoil anything, because half the fun is going along for the ride and discovering what the crap happened for yourself. That being said, this book just came out today, July 25th, the day that I posted this review. So this book is in stores. If you're interested, I would highly recommend checking it out. It was very, very good, alright? Alrighty guys, that is my review of First They Were Four. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully I was coherent. I'm always worried about that in my reviews. But yes, I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!